The Puck Portfolio with Andy MacNeil.
Hey, what's up? Happy Monday. Welcome to the Puck Portfolio presented by NorthStar Bets. I'm your host, Andy MacNeil. I'm live on the Canada Sports Betting YouTube channel, on the Canada Sports Betting Twitter account as well. If you're watching on the CSB Twitter account, do us a favor, head on over to the Canada Sports Betting YouTube channel and subscribe. Drop a like on the video, helps out a ton. Share this episode if you don't mind. That also helps out a bunch. Wild weekend in the NHL playoff. We're going to recap it all on this show. But first, let's get into Monday's two-game NHL slate. Of course, we've got two important games on the docket for Monday. Let's start with the late game. It's the Dallas Stars at the Vegas Golden Knights. Dallas has dominated this series at even strength. They've owned approximately 67% of the expected goals. So they better thank the hockey gods that they won in overtime in Game 3 on Monday, because they could easily be down 3-0 in this series, facing elimination tonight in Vegas. Obviously, spotting Vegas 2 games wasn't ideal, but the Stars can put it all behind them and turn this series into a best of 5 with a win in Game 4. Dallas has been a great first period team this season, particularly in the second half. They outscored teams 24-15 in the first period on the road, 43-26 overall in the opening 20 minutes. Vegas, they were a decent first period team in the regular season, but they weren't very good at home down the stretch in the second half. Their starts have gotten progressively worse in this series as well. The Golden Knights were outshot 10-8 in the first period of Game 1, 11-6 in the first period of Game 2, and 18-7 in the first period of Game 3. Vegas won the first period of Game 1 by a score of 3-2. They were tied 1-1 with the Stars in the first period of Game 2. But Dallas led 1-0 after the opening period in Game 3. I'm looking for the Stars to get off on the right foot in Game 4, do what they've done all season long, and that's start games strong. So I'm taking Dallas to win the first period and cover the spread of a half a goal minus 0.5 goals first period spread at plus 175 at NorthStar Bets for a half a unit. So a little bit of action in the late game. And I've got some action in the early game too, but it's not a bet on the game necessarily. It's a futures bet that I'm kind of asking myself why this market is still up at Bet365. But it is, and I think it's a pretty good look here. So Florida's leading this series, obviously 3-1. The Lightning won Game 4, 6-3. They avoided elimination. Now they're back in Sunrise as the road team. The Lightning closed plus 160 in Games 1 and Games 2 in Florida, around that range anyways. And that's where they're priced heading into Game 5 in Florida. That's where I think they should be priced according to my model. I've got the Panthers listed as a minus 161 favorite. And I think this price says a lot about how little the Lightning appeal to bettors, considering it is a must-win game for Tampa Bay. But the look that I want to take here in this game is at the player to finish with the most points in the series. So Matthew Tkachuk, he leads all players in the series with 7 points. Carter Verhaeghe has 6 points, as does Nikita Kucherov, Victor Hedman, and Steven Stamkos. Stamkos leads the series with 5 goals in 4 games, while Tkachuk, Reinhart, and Verhaeghe all have 3 goals. So it's unlikely that anybody's going to catch Stamkos for the scoring lead in the series, given that it's going to end in Game 5 more often than not. So that would require somebody to score a hat trick to even surpass Steven Stamkos if the series ends in 5 games. But with a 1-point lead on the field, I like Tkachuk here to finish with the most points in the series at plus 175. I think that's a great look right now. So give me Tkachuk to finish with the most points in this one at plus 175 for 1 unit. Of course, there are some players. We've got Verhaeghe. He has 6 points, so he's 1 point behind Tkachuk. We've got Kucherov as well, just 1 point behind the Tkachuk. So, it's going to be close, and Tkachuk could potentially tie if the series does end on Monday night and the Panthers win. If he doesn't get a point, then a player like Kucherov picks up a point. He would tie Kucherov with 7 points in the series. So I still like it, though. I think Tkachuk has a good shot to finish with at least a 1-point lead on the field, and I think plus 175 is a pretty decent price to see if that can happen. So plus 175. Actually, both bets at plus 175, both half unit bets. So Kachuk to finish with the most points in the series at plus 175. That's available at Bet365 under their playoff series props. And then we've got the Dallas Stars to win the first period, cover that first period spread at plus 175. That's available at NorthStar Bets under the first period lines. But yeah, that pretty much does it for what I've got for Monday's 2-game slate. Of course, we've got a bunch more action on Tuesday. We've got one game set up for Wednesday right now. But yeah, let's talk about it. We've got the Boston Bruins and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Of course, the Maple Leafs are facing elimination. The Bruins lead this series 3-1. Boston now expected to win this one around 90% of the time, 91% of the time. The Maple Leafs have an 8.9% chance of winning 3 games in a row and winning this one in 7. The Bruins, though, they've gotten better defensively in each game. They've held Toronto to just 1.7 expected goals in Game 4, according to Evolving Hockey. The Bruins have outscored the Leafs 7-6 at even strength, but the Bruins have scored 6 power play goals on 13 opportunities, while the Maple Leafs have gone just 1 for 15 with the man advantage in the series. According to Natural Stat Trick, Toronto holds a 36-26 edge in high danger shot attempts at 5-on-5 through 4 games, but the Bruins won that battle in games 3 and games 4, holding a 13-11 edge in the high danger shot attempt category. However, according to Stathletes, the Maple Leafs only had 1 high danger shot attempt in Game 4, and naturally, I think that lines up a lot more with my eye test. Toronto hasn't done a good job getting to the slot. They've actually outscored Boston in the slot. The problem is they can't get there enough. So, yeah, the Bruins in a pretty good position to help us cash our series spread bet. Of course, one of those series spread bets cashed on Sunday as the Rangers swept the Washington Capitals. I'm not going to pat myself on the back about that one too much. I'm sure a lot of people had some variation of the Rangers to win in 4 or 5 games. But yeah, plus 145 winner on the Rangers to win that one in 4 or 5 games. Of course, they didn't need that 5th game. They got it done in 4. And yeah, Colorado might not need a 6th game as they are leading the Winnipeg Jets 3-1. And this series was supposed to be closely matched. But it's been a mismatch of epic proportions. Not really, but it's been a pretty bad mismatch. Colorado has a 61% expected goal share in all situations, according to Evolving Hockey. The Avalanche have outshot the Jets 153-104. They've outscored them 14-7. Yeah, it's just been a wash. And I mean, for Winnipeg, it's the 5-10 minute periods where they have just been absolutely brutal, where they've just fallen apart. A 10-minute stretch where Colorado scores 4 goals, etc. And this has happened in all 3 of their losses. They had a brutal end to their second period and gave the game away, a game that they were in control of at the time in game number 2. Game 3, they had that brutal stretch where they allowed 4 goals in 10 minutes in the third period, lost that one. And then, yeah, again in game 4, just another brutal stretch where they just get railroaded by the Colorado Avalanche. So obviously there's been a big impact in the betting market. The Jets were a small favorite, even a mid-range favorite in games 1 and 2. That's not the case here. They're an underdog, and rightfully so. I don't see any value betting on the Avalanche, but I certainly won't be investing anymore in on the Winnipeg Jets. I've got that series bet from prior to the start of the playoffs, plus 115. That looks like it's going to be a loser, more than 90% of the time. So yeah, stick a fork in the Winnipeg Jets. They're done. I really can't believe that we thought this team was going to be, a threat in the playoffs, considering how bad they've looked through 4 games. A team that does not really look like a threat in the playoffs, but is still up 3-1 in their series is the Vancouver Canucks. The Canucks started rookie goaltender Arthur Silvos in place of Casey DeSmith, who is dealing with a mystery injury. This in game 4. So already Vancouver is on their 3rd goaltender, just 4 games into the playoffs. And they're, I think, super fortunate to be up 3-1 instead of down 3-1, given how they played in games 3 and games 4. The Canucks were outshot 30-12 in game 3, 30-20 in game 4. They own just 34% of expected goals in game 3, according to Evolving Hockey, just 41% of the expected goals in game 4. Of course, epic collapse by the Predators. Predators led 3-1 with around 3 minutes left to go in regulation. Vancouver lights the lamp twice, forces overtime, wins it in overtime early in the overtime period on a goal from Elias Lindholm. And now they're heading back home with a chance to eliminate the Nashville Predators in 5 games. But like I said, this one could easily be a 3-1 lead for the Nashville Predators. And I would not be surprised to see them win the next 2 games and send this one to 7. But I also expect Vancouver to win game 5 more often than not. I think they should be priced around minus 117 on the money line. So no action there. But yeah, based on how they played in games 1 and games 2, I would expect them to play a lot better at home than they did on the road. But some pretty poor performances despite winning both of those games in games 3 and games 4. I don't think the Canucks were deserving of either victory. And yeah, that pretty much does it. I don't have a whole lot of betting interest in these games as things stand right now. I'm hoping that I even if I'm baited into a bet on the Toronto Maple Leafs, they're up at plus 128 right now at NorthStar Bets. I think the Bruins should be priced at minus 138 in that game. So no value there on either side right now. But yeah, I'm interested to see what happens. Excuse me. I'm interested to see what happens on Wednesday with the Los Angeles Kings and the Edmonton Oilers. Of course, the Oilers took a 3-1 series lead with their 1-0 win on Sunday. That was a surprise. I looked back, several seasons to see when the last time Edmonton won a game, regular season or playoffs, by a score of 1-0. I couldn't find it, so I imagine it was quite a while ago. But Stuart Skinner, he's built up some goodwill here with his last 2 performances. He has stopped 60 of the last 61 shots he's faced over the last 2 games after allowing 4 or more goals in 4 consecutive playoff appearances. So pretty big performance from Stuart Skinner, back-to-back games. Edmonton only generated 13 shots in the game, marking just the second time all season that the Oilers finished a game with fewer than 20 shots on goal. Like I said, I tried to look back and find the last time Edmonton won a game 1-0. I couldn't, so it's probably been a while. Connor McDavid, he's been just outstanding. Now has a point on all 8 of Edmonton's power play goals, while Draisaitl has a point on 6 of them. But the latter has looked really bad at 5-on-5. The Oilers have outshot LA 35-26 at 5-on-5 when McDavid has been on the ice, but they have been outshot 45-23 in the 52 minutes and change that Draisaitl has been on the ice without McDavid. So that is a concern. I mean, the Oilers aren't going to have trouble here, probably putting away the Kings. You would expect them to do it in 5 or 6 games here. Can't see Los Angeles winning 2 games in a row, although, not impossible. But you would expect Edmonton to get out of the first round. But then, regardless of who they match up against in round number 2, at some point, this is, some of these holes are going to become a bigger problem. And the Kings, they're a team that they've been able to handle now and in the past. They could handle the team like the Canucks as well. But getting later into the playoffs when they have to face off against some deeper teams in the Western Conference, I do worry about Edmonton's staying power when I see stuff like that. But yeah, that pretty much does it for today's episode of the Puck Portfolio. Obviously, my mind is fixated on Game 5 between the Boston Bruins and the Toronto Maple Leafs. I want to win my series bet, but more importantly, I want to see the Boston Bruins just get the job done. Unlike last year, I feel a little bit uneasy because last season we were a big favorite against the Florida Panthers, the 8th place team. We got up to a 3-1 series lead. I say we. My son gives me crap for saying we. He's like, "You're not on the team." I'm like, "Listen, bud. When you when you go through the pain and suffering and the joys and the highs and lows, you can say we. So I'm going to say we. Anyway, we were up 3-1 in against Florida in the first round last year. We all know how that turned out. Boston lost in 7 games. You look back at the previous history between the Bruins and the Maple Leafs. Boston has been up 3-1 against the Maple Leafs in a series before, and it still managed to go 7 games. So, there's past history suggests that the Maple Leafs are more likely to string us along here and then lose in 7 games. But I'm really hoping that Boston can get the job done in 5 games. I guess the surprising thing for me right now is that there's actually a question as to whether Austin Matthews plays in game number 5 or not. He did not practice on Monday. Sheldon Keefe saying that Matthews is a game time decision, I guess. Yet to be determined. He will travel with the club. Like, yeah, no shit. You would hope so. Hopefully he feels better. Like, I mean, it's a bit of just, I don't know why, but maybe it's some, just strategy, game planning on Keefe's part. I have no idea, but yeah, I would have to be some kind of illness to keep out your number one player in an elimination game. But it is the Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, they love the drama. Jake, did you enjoy watching Toronto just fall apart on Saturday night?
I did. I don't know if I would call it falling apart. It was just I think that they were just done from
Well,
from
I
the
would
jump.
call it falling apart because they had so much, like, that building was rocking. Like they were
Yeah,
feeling it. They had woken up and they had decided to put all the past playoff failures behind them, and they were going to just put their best foot forward in game 4. And all it took was one Bruins goal to just totally silence that building. Like, zero resiliency.
yeah,
Just
and
like the
the
Maple
the
Leafs.
infighting between the players, started in earnest after that, and then of course
That's what I
Marner.
meant by saying,
Yeah,
like,
Marner doesn't
falling
come, or
apart.
Matthews doesn't come out for the third, and it's like, the whole place was deflated. It is kind of funny that the Toronto media is just like they're all doing their post-mortems on the season, but the series isn't over. Like it's a foregone conclusion. Even though I think both times the Bruins have been up 3-1 previous to this,
Yeah.
the Leafs managed to bring it to 7 games. So
And
I
then
certainly.
we all know what happened when the Maple Leafs were up 3-1.
I remember what happened when the Maple Leafs were up 3-1 against the Habs. That was a fond memory of mine. But
Oh man.
yeah, but
Sorry,
yeah,
Toronto.
like you
We're
said,
really not. It's nothing personal, Toronto. Well, maybe a little bit, but
no,
these are just facts. And
you
facts
know,
don't care about your feelings.
that's right. At first, it was kind of funny. Now it's just like not even funny anymore. Even for a Habs fan who's living in Toronto, I relished in this kind of stuff in the first few years, but now it's like, okay, something something needs to be done pretty drastic. And I think something needed to be done drastically. Maybe 2 seasons ago, that was probably the best team that they iced. Of this current generation. They still ended up losing to the Lightning. And then since then, they kind of, have been progressively making worse and worse decisions. So yeah, things are gonna have to change for sure.
Yeah, yeah. It'll be interesting to see if Boston has learned anything. They tell you they did after last year's collapse. But actions speak louder than words. So, but yeah, anyways, that pretty much does it for today's episode of the Puck Portfolio. Thank you for tuning in. If you don't mind, leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the Canada Sports Betting YouTube channel if you have not already. My 2 bets for Monday. First up, we've got first period bet. Looking for the Dallas Stars to cover that first period spread at plus 175 at NorthStar Bets. That's a half unit bet. Dallas minus 0.5 goals. First period spread plus 175 for a half unit. And the other bet is one I found at Bet365. Talked about Matthew Tkachuk. He's got a 1-point lead on the field right now in the series. He's got 7 points. The next best player has 6. Of course, there are several players with 6 points, but at plus 175, I think it's worth taking a flyer here on Tkachuk to finish with the most points in the series for a half unit. So 2 half unit plus 175 bets. Dallas to win the first period, and Tkachuk to finish with the most points in the series. But yeah, that pretty much does it for me. I'll see you on Tuesday. Until then, good luck with your bets and gamble responsibly.